So I'm going to go ahead and start the YouTube highlight from right here. Today is Thursday. This is, we pick a winner from the Reddit tank contest. It's located at a link on the bottom of the stream if you guys are ever interested in being a part of it. And things like that. This week is Beebolol. He's a Death Knight from Zangermarsh. And we're just going to get him in here, go over, just Armory, UI, some of his logs, a video or two, and then, be able to ask him questions about anything that we've noticed, going through all of that, as well as you guys asking questions to him, and also him asking questions to us or me or whatever. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling on this. Going to call him on Skype, and we're gonna hammer out the volume details. So, just hang tight. Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. Okay, so your mic sounds pretty good. Last week it was pretty brutal with that the last guy's mic. So, let me just get you to, I guess, say a few, just test, and make sure the volume's good for the stream.
All right, test. Can you hear me? Is this good? Is this good?
I'm gonna turn you up. Do it one more time.
All right, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, it'll take him a little bit of a delay, but as long as you guys can hear him, we're going to go ahead and get this started. Hopefully the volume's pretty solid. Sounds pretty good to me, at least.
All right.
I don't really see anybody answering, so we're going to assume it's good. Alright, well, if it's not good at any point, if you guys are in the stream, just go ahead and say I need to turn him up or turn him down, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so first off, yeah, thanks for hopping on and doing this and all that stuff. I appreciate it.
All right, no, yeah, thank you too for the opportunity.
Yep. So what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna link your armory in stream chat, and then people can open that up, and then we can go along with it with everybody. We're gonna start with that. Just go over the armory, questions about gearing, itemization, professions, spec, glyphs, all that stuff. And then, other than that, after that, we'll get to... actually, before we even do that, let's just go ahead and go with the introduction. You can just, tell people your name, where you're from, interests, rating history, and things like that.
Well, I'm Beebolol, or Zach Martin. I'm from Ohio, but I used to live in Florida a few months ago. But, my rating history, I've been rating since vanilla, since after the AQ patch, and I really got serious in rating in Wrath Lich King. And, well, actually, Burning Crusade, I was in a pretty good guild on my Shadow Priest, but then at the beginning of the Wrath, I decided to play a Blood DK with my friends to tank. And after a few guild switches, I'm finally back with them, and we're, doing pretty well, so that's about it.
Cool. What did, so you played a Shadow Priest in vanilla?
Yeah, I played a Hunter in vanilla, then I played a Shadow Priest in Burning Crusade, in a US top 100 guild called Second Nature. And after that guild broke up, I just transferred back to Zangermarsh.
Cool. Yeah, what actually is pretty interesting character progression from Shadow Priest Hunter to DK tank. What was the reason that you ended up switching to the DK?
Well, I had rolled a DK alt like everybody else in the world when Wrath first came out, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And my first experience with tanking was I had to play my friend's warrior on Illidan, taking a Flame of Azzinoth. That was my first experience tanking ever. And I really enjoyed it, so I thought I'd roll a tank because a tank's a really important role, and I'm pretty much 100% attendance, so I thought it would be a good role for me to play with my friends. So
cool. What was the reason? Just curious that you ended up doing the DK instead of like a warrior, like you said you tanked on or whatever in Burning Crusade.
I just thought DK had a lot. I liked the mechanics a lot. I really liked Unholy when you could tank as all the other specs. Unholy was a great spec with 1 minute iced on Fortitude, all that good stuff, 100% cooldown uptime. So I really enjoyed the concept of that. But that's pretty much it. I just really like the concept. I really like the newness of the class. So.
So you said you lived in Ohio, but you just recently moved from Florida. Just where are you from originally? Just curious.
Well, I used to live in Akron, Ohio, when I was ages 1 through 10, but then I moved to Florida, Tampa, Florida, up until I was 20, and then a few months ago I just moved back to Ohio.
So you're like a LeBron fan or were a LeBron fan? How's that work?
Well, so yeah, I don't really like sports that much, so I don't really follow sports.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I don't
gotcha.
know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's usually everybody being from Ohio is like diehard, Cleveland supporter of whatever team is from the area. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know. That is one of the more appealing things to a DK. I would attest to that as well. I played the Druid before making the switch, and that was one of the main reasons that I wanted to swap to the DK. Is just how much manualized feel, how much of a manualized feel it had to it. Where you're just always doing something cooldown related almost. So
Yeah,
it's pretty strong. And even like your mitigation is like a reactive system. You know what I mean? It's not like block where you just sit there and
and
you
it just
know,
happens.
yeah, or even like the Druid, which is a proactive system where you're doing often you're being offensive to get savage defense to proc and things like that. A DK, it's a lot more of a you have to worry about the timings and the situations and all that. It's never the same, so it's kind of what I like about it the most.
Agreed.
Okay, cool. So what about current raid content? Like where do you stand as far as what you're rating right now? Are you guys yeah.
I believe we got a 250 US Madness. We just got it a few weeks ago. Um, we had extended the lockout, and we had wiped probably 50 or so times with 3 healers, but I'd say about 10 attempts later, we switched to 2 healers and 10 man, and just it was so much easier.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're about, like I said, 250 in US, I think, and for Madness.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So you're 10 man guild, to take it just based off
Yeah.
of the 3 healer comment. Awesome. So I mean, what about how do you feel DK's well, I guess throughout this expansion? I mean, what are some of your uh you played the DK for each tier this X pack or no?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, how do you think they've lined up pretty much like throughout each of the 3 tiers?
Well, I think in the first tier of content, the tanks were relatively equal besides a few fights, like Maloriak ads, obviously DK wasn't optimal for that, or Nefarian ads, etc. But besides that, it was pretty even in Firelands. Um, I think black tanks were better, and I I did tank Heroic Rag on 25 man, and I feel like the Druid tank was taking less damage than I was in that tier, and on that fight in particular. But in this tier, DKs are very strong. This is the best tier by far for DK. So
Yeah.
the progression obviously it's up and down as always for DK, but this tier is great. So
Yeah, definitely. I would actually agree word for word pretty much on that. I mean, DK's had a couple of fights where they were really good on stuff like Sinestro with the haste buff. Rune regen was just ridiculous. Like, with the Sinestro haste buff, you'd put the DK on Sinestro and he would just your rune regen was like sub 4 seconds as opposed to 8 plus. You know what I mean? So it's just
yeah,
like you couldn't almost use runes fast enough. It was really OP for a DK to be on that, and that was. I mean, some of the other fights they were pretty good on, but that was definitely the only fight where it was like, oh my god, get a DK in there. You know what I mean? So.
yeah,
But yeah, this tier, I really like how we've, came through and put out like a strong showing on more fights than the norm, instead of the 1 or 2. I mean, Firelands is really brutal, the low amount of armor. I don't really understand why they nerfed the armor that much in the first place, but, it is what it is. So.
yeah.
Okay, got a little bit of your background in there. I'm going to go ahead and link your armory one more time just in case anybody joined, and then we're going to start going over that. Looking at let's just start with your itemization of your gems. I see here that you're favoring mastery and then the things like that. I mean, it's the same way that I end up going with it as well, but did you ever really experiment with anything else like sword shattering, pure stam, or anything like that?
I'd say in the first tier and halfway through Firelands until I joined a better guild, I was Stam, and I didn't really like it at all. I had switched to Mastery for Ballarok. I was not tanking Decimation, I was just tanking Inferno and the melee, so it was pretty brutal. But I switched to Mastery for that, and at that point I realized that Mastery was far better. But I still do experiment with Sword Shattering and Stone Skin Gargoyle in this tier, so. But I do like Mastery much better than Stam overall, so.
Yeah, it just seems more consistent by far. I noticed that Looking at your, let's just go through, skim through your reforging. Looks like you're pretty spot on with that. Even your cloak, you've reforged out of the expertise. I always end up seeing a lot of people reforging out of the parry just because they'll get more mastery, but they're losing avoidance in the process instead of expertise or something like that. Have you always been using 5-piece, or is that something you just recently switched to?
No, I had the heroic Bracken Shell, and when the tier shoulders dropped and I had the opportunity to get them, it was a hard decision because I did not know if 5-piece was frowned upon at all, because normally it's kind of something that's like almost laughable, but this tier, there's really no alternative to the 5-piece, so you lose so much mastery between the Bracken Shell and the tier and whatever else you decide to choose, so I mean there's no really other alternative.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. It's like the first tier I can remember in a while that's been the 5-piece. So looking at your professions, blacksmithing, enchanting, both were raid viable professions. So
I've been wanting to switch to leatherworking for a very long time in place of enchanting.
Yeah.
But I kind of just really lazy. So.
Yeah. It's if you're gonna re-roll though, I would or profession, I would definitely recommend picking up engineering over leatherworking. I mean, leatherworking is still really good. I would put it second place, but engineering, just the boots, rocket boots, the target dummy, things like that.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big deal. Your spec actually, let's see, you have 2 blood specs. I see one that's pretty conventional, Lichborn, Crimson Scourge. That's actually the spec that I currently run. But then your primary spec, I'm guessing this is what, more of a threat spec maybe?
Well, like I said in my Reddit post, I really like to wear DPS gear while tanking and try to rank. So that's my spec. I've recently ran with that spec, and then I would switch my blood spec often for fights, and I would have a frost off spec, but just the other day I decided just to do a 2 blood because I kind of hate DPSing. So my primary spec is for damage and ranking on World of Logs, and my secondary spec is for serious fights. So.
Cool. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So with that said, is 3 out of 3 virulence going to be outweigh the 3 out of 3 blood cake blade?
I don't know. See, I tested blood cake blade on Altraxian, and it was just pitiful. So, I'd have to look more, but I think it's just a pitiful talent. So.
Actually, with that said, that actually is a pretty good topic here. I'm going to check out your links to some of the laws, and we can actually go through that. Do you remember the week that you tested Blood Cake Blade?
Oh, that was a long time ago. That log may be gone.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, because I know I used it in Firelands or something. It was like anywhere from 6 to 7% of my overall damage, which was pretty significant. Almost, I mean, not laughable by any means.
You think that's better than virulence if I was trying to rank on World Blogs, etc.?
I would think it would be, but I haven't did it in probably like 6+ months, so I don't know if there's like scaling differences with anything like that. But I'm pretty sure. I mean, we'll just take a look at we'll compare your disease. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna pick a fight from. Let's see. I'm gonna go to your guys' parses and just find like an Altraxian log. And then we're gonna take a look at that. Yeah, Dragon Soul here.
I think last week we may have done normal for mounts, so you may have to go further back.
Okay. I guess this is your Progression Madness skill, it looks like here. On the 3rd. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And then we have... So I'll find one here in a second. Alright, Dragon Soul 10 Heroic, Altraxian. Alright, boom. Let's check this out. And then we're just going to take a look at... Let me full screen this for the stream here. We're going to look at damage done. And Altraxian. Okay, and there you are here. And let's see, let's just, because you're only increasing your disease damage by 30%, and then if we're looking at your diseases, I mean, it may be worth because you're looking at 30%, and they account for like 9% of your damage overall. So I would honestly think Blood Cake Blade would be better. I would say just try it for a week and then just look at the parts and compare it with the other one. I'm not like a super math guy, so I couldn't just guess and do number crunching mega quick. But
Yeah.
if I had to, do you know if you had virulence in this parse here?
I'm almost sure I did. That's not a week that I wore DPS gear though, so I don't think that my damage is gonna be that high. So, but I'm certain I did have virulence on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, even still, it's probably pretty similar percentage breakdown. I don't think it's going to double or something like that if you have DPS gear on. So that's just one thing to point out. I mean, to be honest, whenever I used to play in my old guild Duality, and then again when I was in Forlorn Legacy, this is back in Burning Crusade and Wrath. I was really involved with WoW Meter Online. They had threat boards where your let's go ahead and see if they still have those. I haven't been here in a long time because I stopped really. Let's see, Cataclysm, player ranking, TPS. Okay, so it looks like they still have the category. Okay, yeah, this is. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but
I've not.
I'll just toss you a link in Skype and then toss it in stream chat, and you can sort these by. You can sort these by classes and things like that. I'm not sure. Okay, so I translated it to English. Let's see if that... I don't remember it ever being not in English, so... It looks like this has kind of fell off the map, but this used to be a pretty common spot, like, too. But the thing is that threat kind of fell off the map as far as being a, what's a good word to put it, competitive bracket, you know what I mean? Because it's not something that you can, judge very well now with how threat works and things like that. But yeah, this used to be pretty accurate representation. So, what do you use now? You just go on World of Logs, I'm guessing?
Yeah, just World of Logs.
Okay, cool. And then does it measure threat or damage output?
Oh, just damage.
Okay, yeah, it's still pretty. I mean, anything that you can find to stay competitive on, that's stuff like that's pretty cool. So that's definitely something that we haven't really talked about on the stream is, doing stuff like competitive as a tank, doing things like competitive parsing, damage output wise and things like that. Just curious question for you, whenever you're doing that, do you really have a maximum like damage output rotation? Does that involve less death strikes or what exactly?
Well, depending on the fight, if like say Yorsage for example, obviously when the black adds are up, you just spam Heart Strike over and over and over and lay death and decay and spread your diseases. But besides when there are tons of ads or multiple ads or anything, it would just be spamming Death Strike. And what I like to try to do is with the Death Strike glyph is I'll try to save as much RP as I can without capping it out to get the biggest Death Strike to try to do as much damage as I can. And so far that's seemed to be pretty good. But sometimes I just dump the runic power all right away depending on the fight. So.
Speaking of it, if you had like say double set of ads on your side, are you sure that Heart Strike would be better than talented Blood Boil spam?
I don't know actually. I mean that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that with 2 points in Crimson Scourge, spamming Blood Boil like on a pack of 10 plus ads would outweigh the 3 ads that Heart Strike's hitting.
Because the person in first is like 45k DPS, and I was like in second with like 40, so he must have been doing that or something. So
yeah, I would because I know whenever we just do trash, I sometimes I see myself popping up on the current fight DPS meter just because of how hard Blood Boil is hitting on all those ads.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd probably just be a quick.
I kind of forgot that Blood Boil was like a competitive ability. Sometimes I kind of forget about it.
Yeah. I wish they would have. To be honest, I wish they would go back to the demo shout being applied through Blood Boil. It's just really annoying when your outbreak misses, and then you have to.
Which happens literally all the time.
Yeah, and you have to use like an Unholy Rune, and then you're shit out of luck for either refreshing your Bone Shield or a Death Strike or anything like that. It's just a pain. So, okay, so that's pretty cool info. We've actually never really gotten into that on the stream, talking about being offensive as a tank. Looking at your other spec here, you got Deathclaw Glyph. This is probably the best glyph setup. I'm curious though, like. Your AMS glyph, what do you not really find a use for dancing rune weapon glyph?
No, I don't find a use for that because I almost never lose threat, and if like say there's like an ad group or something, like maybe the hemorrhage on Deathwing,
Mm-hmm.
the hunter just misdirects them to me, and it's threat is really never an issue. So I used to run Dance Rune Weapon Glyph on until they changed obviously the threat. I love that glyph. It was like I'd pop that at the beginning of the fight and it would be done, but I don't know, I just don't like it anymore. I don't see too much of a need for it anymore, but
Yeah, it probably just depends on the atmosphere and things like that. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure I would be laughed at if you know asking a hunter to MD mid pull and lose a global. You know, just stuff like that. It's
yeah, he told me last night that he does that to fiend for DPS on the blood ads. So
yeah, it's definitely very situational at best. But I mean, the reason AMS is a good glyph. The only fight I usually end up using on is Madness, though, just because of
yeah, I like it for Madness for degenerative bite. So
yeah. So cool. All right, moving on from the armory and stuff. I'm gonna get one of the videos buffering that you linked here.
yeah, that's actually like I said, that video is I think the ones I linked to were from a POV of a friend because he has all the good videos up. I don't have really any, so.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to get that buffering. And then, how long have you been Alliance the whole time?
Yeah, I've always been Alliance. I've never actually been Horde.
How do you like the Night Elf ratio compared to something like Stoneform on a Dwarf or something like that?
I've often thought about going Dwarf because I like Stoneform so much, but I just can't really get over the way a Dwarf looks. So
Yeah, it's pretty horrendous, the little short dwarf thing.
So yeah, I mean the Night Elf racial isn't terrible, I guess, but it's not as good as Stoneform, obviously.
I was pretty shocked when I found out Stoneform was on the GCD, so it was pretty mind-boggling. That
It is on GCD.
that's what I've never played it. I just heard somebody tell me that, so I'm assuming that's the case. Maybe somebody in the stream has played a dwarf. They can comment on it. But yeah, moving on from we'll get back to the logs and stuff. But just going over some of the stuff about your UI. I'll just toss this link in stream chat if they want to follow along. You know, just take us through how you have it set up and you know what's where.
Well, I just recently went to remake this because I was using Xpearl, which is probably the worst add-on of all time. So, I really like Shadowed, so I changed that and I decided to just redo it. I have power auras in that screenshot right there. That's there. Some of them are shown, but some of them are not shown. Then obviously I have my debuffs above the target frame, and then I have my cooldowns above my left frame. And then I obviously filter the cooldowns that I do not need to know. And my MSBT is set up with incoming heals to the left of my character and incoming damage to the right of the character. And I do not use the MSBT for outgoing damage. So, and I also have notifications and custom sounds for when my cooldowns do come back up.
Cool. Let's see. I had a question that I actually forgot what I was going to ask you. It was something about your... Okay, I'm just seeing here at the bottom. Okay, so you have it both pop... Okay, your cooldowns are above your player frame as well as on the button, the actual button of the... on the action bar. It has the cooldown as well?
Yeah, it's just a part of the UI that's set up.
And you have, I'm assuming you have all of those bound, right?
Oh yeah, I just have the binds hidden.
Okay. And this this mod here on the right, this is what, Fort Exorcist it looks like?
Yeah, I have Fort Exorcist. I've been playing around with that. I'm not sure if I like it yet, so that's to be determined.
What is the... Oh, I remember what I was going to ask. What is the mod that has your cooldowns above your player frame? What mod is that?
I believe that's Dot Timer.
Weird, because that's what I use. I'm just curious how you have the different colors.
No, that's, yeah, okay, so what it is when it first starts, instead of being green, I put it to like that purplish blue, and then blood tap being gray, I think that's switching from purple to yellow. So I think it's just switching, and then I think the orange horn of winter is switching from yellow to red, and so I took the screenshot at the right time for it to show that. So, but I don't have them set up for like yellow or orange or anything like that, because I tried to do the same thing. I tried to change the colors of the specific abilities, but I don't think you can do that. So.
Okay, yeah. That's pretty useful. I definitely like the cooldown stack that you have there above your player frame, just because, as a tank, you kind of like, that's your main focal point, is, either where your character's standing and, your current HP level, and then having your cooldowns right in between those, basically, is pretty huge, knowing, what you have available and things like that at all times. You don't, you see some people that have cooldowns or player frames, like up in the far top left or bottom right or something, and just, anybody that, it doesn't really matter how good anybody is, it's, if you're having to move your head or move your eyes away from, main point of attention, it's going to be pretty brutal liability at some point. What is your rune mod that you got going on there?
I just use a really lightweight one called Yuri's Rune Mod, or Yuri's Rune Display or something.
And then right underneath that looks like a Blood Shield mod, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that's Blood Shield Tracker, and then underneath that is just Vengeance.
How exactly does that Blood Shield Tracker mod work?
Okay, so you see next to where the Rune Strike icon is, there's a 15k. That's the estimated heal that the Blood Shield will give me, and it will change depending on the incoming damage I take, and then the shield is just updates dynamically with when you death strike, and then the 9 seconds or whatever, it'll count down from 9,876, the duration of the blood shield.
Gotcha,
and then,
yeah.
So it's just it's really the only option to use right now. So I know you have that custom one, which is really cool, but
what's the Rune Strike icon to the left of the 15k?
that's just tell me when. I just have run with that forever. It just shows me when I can Rune Strike, even though I should know by now, but it's kind of just all I've always had it.
Oh,
so.
okay, gotcha. So it's just letting you know you have the runic power to use
Yeah.
Rune Strike? Okay. Cool stuff. Yeah, I like how you have a lot of things centralized. I mean, if anything, I would just recommend just scaling it down a bit, like scrunching your cooldowns. You could have them take up like half the space that they're taking up.
Yeah.
And just, get yourself more view space. That would be one thing that I would say.
Yeah, but still kind of a work in progress. So.
Yeah, definitely going in the right direction. I like how you have everything, like I said, centralized, because that's pretty huge. One question now, where do your debuffs show up?
Debuffs on me, they're underneath my player frame.
Awesome, yeah.
With Elcano's buff or whatever.
Yeah, that's another huge point. That anybody that's watching the stream that's new to just raiding in general, you always want to have your debuffs, like you said, close to your character. He mentioned he has his showing up underneath. That's always a good place. You don't want to have them like up in the top right or over. Like I said, you don't want to. The main thing everybody needs to understand that you're looking to do is minimize the amount of attention that you need to be moving your head all over the screen. I'm not saying you need a tunnel vision. I'm just saying that something like debuffs. Say Fading Light on Attraction. If you had it in the top left corner, your efficiency would drastically reduce by having to look to the top right corner instead of like he has his right underneath his character. I have mine right to the right of mine, so anywhere around your character is pretty solid. Cool stuff. Yeah. You use power auras for pretty much. It looks like what's that GS or wing icon? Is that
the wings is my well, at that point I was using my Fire the Deep, and that's for Fire the Deep if that's up, and then the swords crossing is Dancing Rune, and then the one to the left by the cooldowns is Bone Shield, and I have one for Anti-Magic Shell and Hand of Sacrifice and Ice on Fortitude and Vampiric Blood that are not shown in that screenshot.
Okay, so that's pretty good. I'm guessing they just all go around your character in the kind of the fashion.
Yeah, it's just like a circle on my character or whatever, like a blood drop, etc.
Yeah. Cool stuff. All right, let's go ahead and pick a video out that we're going to go over. Any one of these that would be recommended over the others, or?
Well, I think our best video is obviously Heroic Men as a Deathwing, or maybe Gunship. Probably Gunship's probably a good one.
Okay, we'll go with that one. And let's let this buffer at 1080p, and then we'll revisit this in a second. So, just random question: Did you or any of your guild members get invited to beta? Have you guys been on there?
Not as of yet, but I've had a sub WoW account for 7 years and an annual pass the day it came out. So I'm hoping I get mine soon. So
yeah, are you looking forward to? Are you gonna? What are you? I guess more or less, what are you going to be doing going into Mist? Are you going to be sticking with a DK, re-rolling a monk, or what exactly?
Well, I'm definitely sticking with DK. I love my DK, and I have far too many achievements and far too many things like that to even want to switch, even if I even had a thought to. But I just love DK. So,
what are some of the changes that are coming out with the Death Knight that you're looking forward to?
Well, I like some of the new talents. Like they're some of them are pretty fun looking. AOE Death Grip, stuff like that. I was looking how you can. I don't know if they changed this or not because I haven't looked in a while. But how you can choose if you want Runic Empowerment or Runic Corruption as any spec, and I think that's going to be really fun to play with Runic Corruption. So, as Blood.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing. I just want to know how efficient it is because it's the thing is it's a chance I think to proc it off of Rune Strike, so you're still dealing with whereas you almost have a 1 out of 2 shot at proccing a fully depleted room with the current system. So it's going to be interesting to see which one is better.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'll link this video. We're going to go through the War Master clip just real quick, and then you can talk about your strat and just anything that we want to kind of add going through here.
Okay.
Okay.
Just to start out, the strat we use in this is we're a really melee heavy guild, so we decided to tank the ads on the right, where Circle is right now, at least where I'm seeing it. But so to cleave down the Drake that comes down. And also, this is the POV of Zaffel, our Holy Paladin. This is not my POV, just so everybody knows.
Well, let's see. Let's just go over the raid comp real quick. It looks like you have a DPS Death Knight. That's yourself, I'm guessing. Then Holy Pally Rogue.
That's our Ret.
Oh,
Mundane is our Ret. Relax is our Rogue, and then we had a Feral Druid tank, a Shadow Priest, a Demon Warlock, a Survival Hunter, Resto Shaman, and the Holy Paladin, which is Zaffel.
Okay, so you Holy Pally, Resto Shaman, Healer, and 3 ranged and 3 melee.
Yep.
2 tank. Okay, cool. Just make sure everybody's. I like this guy's UI too. He's got a lot of work done to it.
Yeah. He used to actually tank with me, and now he's a healer. So.
What was some of the things that you found? I actually found Gunship a lot harder on 10 men, just because of, you're having to cover the same amount of distance or area with, less than half the amount of people, and I don't know. We found it to be a lot more difficult than 25 man.
Well, what we found hard was keeping up and healing, because obviously there are so many less people, and then we had a lot of deaths to confusion due to. Like, should we soak this? Should we not soak this? Barrage. Somebody would solo soak and then just get one shot. And I still don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you could tell me. But if you solo soak a onslaught, does that do more damage to the boat rather than soaking it with a group?
No, we never really did the whole put a Shadow Priest or a Fire Mage or Carterize inside the the large barrage thing. We never really did that. The way that we had interpreted it on progression was that it would half the damage, so the boat would still take more than what it would if you had the whole raid in there. So we were always with the mindset that you would want to have the entire raid in there to make the boat take the least amount of damage. So I'm not sure if that's because I actually saw a video of somebody having a Shadow Priest solo soak it, and it was the boat took very little damage, so I couldn't really give you a for sure answer on that, but I do believe that's how it works.
Like on our strat that we use, we have our Shadow Priest solo soak the first one, and I solo soak the second one. And it seems to work out pretty well. I mean, it gets, depending on how good blasts are soaked, it gets kind of sketch at the end, but so far we found that's the best strat that we use at least.
Yeah.
So
So, but yeah, like you mentioned with the, people miscommunicating. Oh, do we soak this? Do we not soak this? And then people getting gibbed by the solo soaks and things like that. That was definitely a problem for us as well. And it's just, the communication requirement for 10-man was just a lot higher than it was for 25-man. 25-man, you just had so many people, you could just kind of almost to the point wing it. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, oh hey, hop in this real quick, and there's always somebody there to get in it with you. You didn't have only 6-7 people that were able to soak it instead of having 25.
yeah, we had wiped on this fight, I'd say about 100 times, and not to blast anybody, but we had a healer that we had to replace, and we got our new healer, and our new healer, we had killed the fight in less than 3 attempts with the new healer once we replaced our other healer, so that's how much of a difference stuff like that makes on 10-man, so.
Yeah, which class healer was it that replaced?
We replaced a Resto Druid with a Resto Shaman, so.
Yeah. Another thing with the Resto Shaman is just, keeping HP buffs up on people with the Ancestral Vigor. Probably don't have a uptime super high because everybody's kind of so spread out, but probably a decent amount. Let's see here. So, how did you guys really handle the phase change here? I'm going to go ahead and pause it and just let you go over that real quick.
What we do is, I tank Blackhorn first, and I tank him to the side, and we obviously don't do any damage to him. And our Druid tank picks up Goriona when she comes down if I do not have 2 Sunders. If I do have 2 Sunders, then obviously he tanks War Master. Then, we just switch positions. It's a little bit different. If you can see where the diamond is on the map, on the screen on the top, it's right above the War Master Blackhorn name. That's where I am standing right now, and that's where the tanking War Master is, and the Druid is the traditional spot is where Goriona tank is standing. And we just switch positions, and that's really it. On this fight, I really like to use my avoidance trinket, Fire the Deep, because I've had streaks of from 50% to dead without getting 1 Sunder. So,
yeah, that's pretty impressive. Wow, that's actually really good RNG for the for the most part. 50% all the way to dead without getting a sack. But I guess it does be pretty. You have a pretty high avoidance level, probably popping that in conjunction with like Dancing Room Weapon or something.
And this is a fight that I would use Sword Shattering on. So.
Oh really? You would? I would actually look at it. The avoidance would be good, but I mean, having that extra 2% armor and the stamina, I would take the armor and the stam over the avoidance, just because that avoidance, it just, it's not guaranteed to be there every single hit, and he starts hitting really hard at the end.
Yeah.
When did you guys first kill this? Like, how long ago? Was it with the 5% buff?
It was 5%, yes. Yeah. I can actually, let me check the date in the game. We got War Master on the 2/14/12, so about a little bit more than a month ago.
Gotcha. Okay, we're going to hit play here and just watch how they do the transition here. And you can see, like you said, he's up there where the diamond was, kind of up here where my mouse pointer is. And you see their Druid here. Waiting for the dragon? Yeah, here it is.
And what we had like a kind of a strat to see how the Zaffel, the Holy Paladin, is just sitting there healing, so he would have to move very little for Shockwave, and there was going to be a group or whatever, but that kind of fell apart quickly and people just winged it. Like the plan, like I said, was to have Zaffel move as least as possible to heal the tanks and have Symmetry, the Shaman, just move with the raid to heal the raid with Healing Rain, but like I said, it just got out of control and kind of just winged it.
Yeah. So let's see. And how were you guys doing tank swaps? You would swap whenever the dragon's tank Sunder stack would fall, or would you base it off how many stacks of Sunder you currently have on the...
How many stacks of Sunder the War Master tank has, so...
You guys would always switch at 2, or what?
Yep, 2.
Okay. Yeah, I think the way that we ended up doing it was just like, as soon as your stacks fell, I mean, even if they just had 1 stack, you'd still just switch and keep it, keep a fresh tank on it as much as possible. But anything 2 or less is pretty. When you get 3, it starts getting, you're flirting with death almost on any single hit because it starts hitting so hard.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that's actually, you guys a pretty clean kill here. I noticed that your boat's at 3%. So
yeah, it's pretty sketch. So, but
how would your just real quick, going into your cooldowns, how would you? I know you said you liked using Fire of the Deep and Sword Shatter and things like that as far as itemization for the fight. What about like how would you handle things like your? Do you have a specific time that you use Vamp Blood or armor pots?
Zaffle will call out when he wants things like Vampiric Blood, so he's kind of the guru of that. So I kind of just save it for that, and I'll use my armor pot. Maybe I'll use armor pot at the end, and I'll definitely always save Icebound for sub 30% or so. So and try to keep Bone Shield up all the time, obviously. So.
Yeah, it's definitely sitting on Icebound is almost a necessity for this fight because it starts getting really, really, really brutal towards the end. I know that I'm not sure if you ever saw that PTR video from when we were testing on PTR.
You got one shot, yeah.
Yeah, it was like over 200,000 damage in a GCD. I was pretty amazed, and it was before the boss was even low. I mean, I think the boss was at like 70% or something like that. I was just like, what the hell just happened to me? But yeah, that was actually one of the I talked to the I think it was the DK class designer after that, and gave him some input on how that is not good at all. I mean, we needed at least to be able to react to damage instead of just more or less being globaled. So,
yeah.
And then they proceeded to. I'm sure that didn't. They probably had the buff, the armor buff, and bone shield buff, and things like that in the works prior to that. But it was definitely something they could be like, yeah, this is why we need to buff DKs, because that was pretty brutal. But cool stuff. Yeah, it was a pretty clean kill vid, to be honest. I guess like you said that you guys had a lot of pulls in on it, so making that healer switch made it a lot easier. I guess things like that in 10-man are a lot more. Having one healer that's a weak link in 10-man is a lot more brutal than it is in 25.
Most definitely. I mean, it was just night and day. Like I said, we killed it in I think 3 shots after doing it 100 times. So, it was a pretty big difference.
I'm actually going to take a look at your madness parse. And after we get through this parse, we're just going to let the stream ask some questions, and then you ask any questions that you have, to the stream or myself, and then take it from there. So I'm going to toss this link in stream chat. And what we're going to do here is just go to look at his cooldowns. And first off, let's just look at when each of one of the impales happen so we know what kind of time frame we're dealing with. Then we're going to his buffs cast. And we're assuming they're starting on Ysera, which you can see here. The dream is used. And then we're going to look at his IBF uses. And then we're going to look at VB uses and Bone Shield, as well as let's see. I see here he's using Stave Execution also, and Dancing Room Weapon. Okay, I was going to say if you're using Army. Okay, so just a quick walkthrough here. I mean, DK's being obviously the luxury tank to have on Madness just because of how Blood Shield works with Impales. Looks here like on the first platform you just use... Actually, one sec. Let me get... Okay. Just getting all the external cooldowns up, make sure I'm not missing anything. Let's actually look and see, make sure his Shaman's keeping up. So their Shaman's actually doing pretty good here. He's he's keeping Ancestral Vigor up. The only time it looks like it really falls for any substantial amount of time, this looks like a platform switch.
Yeah, he's very good, so he's good with that.
That's good to go. Looking at your cooldowns for, like, say, the first Impale, you're not using Bone Shield on each one of these, or?
No, I after I went back to the first one, I did not use Bone Shield because I was used to saving Bone Shield because we would push the corruption below X%, and it would start to tick that debuff. So I just didn't use it on the first one by accident, but I had a 300k Blood Shield, so it didn't really matter.
So how do you guys do that? Do you taunt like right before the impale's going off with like a maxed out blood shield or what?
Um, well, I just I take the first impale on the first platform, first impale on the second platform, and then second impale on the third and fourth platform.
Okay.
Um, and I just on the first and second platform, I push it to attacking the arm tentacle or wing tentacle to get as much blood shield as I can. And right as the tentacle pops up, then I move to the back and just keep spamming blood shield or death strike. And by that time, unless I get hit like once or twice, I'll have like an over 200k blood shield. So, and then right after that, I continue to tank the mob until about 5 seconds for the impale because we run a feral druid, so him being in cat form is a pretty big deal. So
Yeah, get some extra DPS in for the yeah, that makes sense. So okay, you say you tank the first one on the first and second, and then you do the second one on the third and fourth.
yep,
Okay, and let's see. So the first one he's got Dream and Stay active. It looks like he pops VB after you get hit on that one as well. I mean, if you get
Yeah.
it on before, you probably get a bigger blood shield.
I
if you
save Empiric Blood since I've never had a problem dying to impales. I save it for when Zaffle calls it. So
Okay, got it. Then the second one here, looks like you got pretty much all your stuff. Bone Shield, IBF, you know, you're not really going to die. And then you actually stay as well. You stave execution, so that's, yeah, pretty, no way you're really dying with that. And then third one, same deal, stave execution, Bone Shield, IBF. And it's just a pretty impressive. You have it up for the second one on the third and fourth platform. That's actually
Yep.
I would not be don't be surprised next week when the 15% buff comes out if your cooldowns aren't active for the fourth platform there.
yeah,
'Cause it's probably cutting it pretty close as it is, I would guess.
the second impale hasn't been a problem. We've had one or two wipes to our druid tank not having survival up for his impale,
Mhm.
but I think that he needs to be using it just a slight bit earlier on the impale than he is. But
Well, what you could do, to be honest with you, is you switch it up when you guys run into that barrier of pushing it too fast, because once you get better DPS, you're not going to have your cooldown up for every other impale. It's going to be 2 impales in between your cooldown, if that makes sense. So if you're tanking the first one on the third platform, you'll tank the second one on the fourth platform, which is okay. So you're saying you take the second one on the third platform. You would actually, if you wanted to help your druid out on the fourth platform, you could pop Dancing Rune Weapon, Bone Shield, and Channel Army, and yeah, there's absolutely no way you would die there because that's going to be more reduction than your IBF with your Dancing Rune Weapon active while channeling Army, because your Army adds your parry and dodge together, and you take damage reduced less to the total of that number while it's active. So
yeah,
yeah, that would and then that frees your druid up for the second impale, and his cooldowns are guaranteed to be up at that point instead of pressing it super close.
yeah. If DPS is pushing it too fast, that's probably definitely what I'd have to do. So
Cool stuff. Yeah, and then how do you guys usually? Looks like on the final set here, you dream and on the set of terrors, I'm guessing.
yeah, I believe, I don't know if on our kill attempt what we had was I was tanking the first set of terrors by myself. I don't know if we did that on our kill attempt, but we may have. But what I normally would do is just let tetanus drop, and then when the terror is dead is when I would use dream going to the boss.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for a little assurance, or insurance rather, just to not die. And then I believe I use dream right at the end when it's just getting crazy. So
Cool stuff. Yeah, I mean overall though it's pretty good, and definitely, definitely you know, give your shaman a pat on the back because it looks like he's doing a really good job across the board with you know, making sure that HP buff is up on the tanks, which is always a plus, especially in a 10-man.
yeah.
So with that said, you know, do you have any, or or before we get into him asking questions, if any of the stream has questions for him, you guys go ahead and post them, and then we'll take a couple questions from stream chat. But while we're waiting on them to post, did you have any questions that you wanted to go over?
Yeah, it's actually kind of just a small off-topic question. How long have you had that Warglaive, and how long have you been farming for the second one?
I've had the Warglaive probably, I don't know, 8-9 months, but I don't go in there. Right after I got it, I was trying to go in there every week, but ever since, I mean, we have so much going on with the guild. We do, 3 25-man heroics, like probably 10 Firelands clears a week, and I mean, we just have so much going on with the guild through like sales runs and things like that. I don't really have the time almost. Usually whenever we're not raiding, I'm just chilling out, and even then, I don't really go into BT a ton and farm it. But I try to get in there when I can, and eventually I'll end up picking it up.
Yeah, I mean, we do that every single week, and I've not seen one yet. So
yeah. It's my buddy in the guild. He actually had them drop on back-to-back weeks this month. They went in 1 week to get the offhand, to get Curse Vision, and the offhand dropped, and then the next week the main hand dropped. I was just like, holy shit, man, the luckiest guy ever. But yeah.
I have one question for you. Since I don't have a heroic or even normal Indomitable Pride. I know that you use the heroic version. Obviously, if I had the heroic version, I would use that too. But what do you think is better, looking for raid Indomitable Pride, or say like a Fire of the Deep, just overall, not like fight per fight, just overall? You think?
I mean, if you had to pick one to use for overall better for the majority of fights, I would honestly probably still go with the Pride, because it's it's percentage based, and let's actually see how many you had proc here in this madness kill.
Actually, I think I don't know what I was wearing that fight, to be honest. Actually, I think I might have been wearing that Fire of the Deep. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. I actually thought I had saw the shield.
I may have. I don't know. I have no idea what I was wearing. I think I even tried out the resist trinket from TB a few times in that fight. I don't know.
What the hell? I must be seeing things, because I could have swore I saw the buff on this from earlier. Oh no, hang on. I'm losing my mind. Maybe it was
No Muragan Pride.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, maybe that was it. What is that? Oh, it transforms you into Gnomregan infantry. Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, it was clutch to use that, so.
Yeah. But I don't know. I like the Indomitable Pride. I mean, the difference, I think it's 56. Okay, so you go from 43% shield to mine is 56%, I think. Yeah, so you're looking at only a 13% difference. I mean, it's pretty large, but 775 stamina versus, yeah, I don't know. I would probably go with Indomitable Pride still over the Fire of the Deep. But I mean, some fights, the times I would use Fire of the Deep would be a fight like Bell Rock or something that's a lot faster hitting, I think would be better. Indomitable Pride for a slower, more heavy hitting boss fight, just because that's the type that's going to end up proccing that trinket and making the use on use better, so than getting melted by a fast attacking mob.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, the double stam trinkets this tier are really nice, just because the procs on them.
Yeah, I really liked my last tier, the Spider Silk Spindle. That was one of my favorite trinkets.
I don't like how it doesn't take into account, like, I guess it would be too overpowered. I mean, like if it took into account prior to you, if you're going to hit it, if you're going to get hit by an attack when you're at 90%, that's going to kill you. Like take the Spider Silk Spindle. It would be really nice if that thing would, trim 20k off of whatever the hit is. You know what I mean? But
oh yeah.
It's
wow, that'd be really good.
Yeah, it's one can only hope. So it's not probably going to get changed. Let's see. Okay, so any more questions really from anything, maybe tank related, WoW related, anything like that?
Not that I can really think of right now.
Okay, cool. All right, well, I mean, all in all, definitely thanks for hopping on and going through the logs, the vid, and UI, and just things like that. It's always good to get people just from, around the stream and, tank community on, and just, introduce people and, try to get a proactive, circle of knowledge floating around instead of just a cesspool of people that just run around and, are not productive. At least we got something good going here. So,
yeah.
Thanks again for hopping on. And if you ever need anything, you got me on Skype now, so just message me anytime.
All right, dude. I appreciate the opportunity. So.
Cool stuff, man. All right, you have a good day.
You too.
Later. All right, so that's that with him. I am, again, thanks to him for hopping on here and going through all that stuff. I'll have it uploaded on YouTube. I saw a couple of questions in the stream chat that were directed at me, and that was on a scale of 1 to 10, how pissed am I that I don't have beta access? I mean, yeah, I wish I would have had it today, but hopefully I'll get it soon. There's nothing I can really do about it. It's annoying, yes, but it is what it is. Okay, so I mean, I knew today was going to be probably a little less viewers than normal just because of the beta access and stuff that's out, but thanks for you guys hopping on. As soon as I get beta access, I can promise you I will have it on here a lot. We'll be going through the monk tank stuff, and we'll give a lot of commentary on that and things like that. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll have it uploaded on YouTube. You guys stick around tonight. We've got some heroic raids coming up and things of that nature. But if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit follow. Tomorrow's our special guest interview. We're going to work on trying to get somebody from the guild, maybe either Ararat, Absalom. You guys will just have to show up tomorrow and see who it's going to be. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to go chill out before the raid, maybe run 1 or 2 commercials, and we'll get the raid started in less than an hour for you guys. All right, thanks.